can't stop the train, baby. Woo!
We've got the 43rd round of VV Gaming's The Losers Bracket coming to you guys, and as always, we've got a jam-packed show. This week we'll be discussing Call of Duty Black Ops, as well as the Halo Reach V2 settings, and plenty more. Lots going on in the world. Let's get started right away with the biggest news in gaming, I guess you could say, Black Ops. Guys, I know that Perilous, Icevein, thank you for joining us this week, by the way. Icevein, you guys have been playing the game. What are your thoughts so far on the rules that have come out for game battles, the maps? Give us your opinion on Black Ops.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and start off with the campaign, which is the first thing I played when I took it out of the box. This campaign is in-depth. It's just amazing. I have not played a campaign that I've actually wanted to continue to play and just, progress through it. On the hardest difficulty, it is tough. And your teammates are the retards of the earth.
Personally, myself, I haven't touched the campaign too terribly much. I've played a couple of the first levels, and by far it's one of my favorite campaigns out of the Call of Duty series, at least top 3 campaign from the Call of Duty series, in my opinion.
Well, let's get to the more important stuff, because I think everyone can agree the campaign is solid. If you play it on the hardest setting, there's some challenges, which makes it really cool, so you're not walking through it like you do on some other games. But let's talk a little bit about the multiplayer. It's my opinion that when people are very split, and I think there are people who love it or hate it, that is usually a good sign for a game, because it separates a lot of people who might not be good. Not to say that there aren't faults, which reminds me, Ryan, I know you think there are a few faults in Black Ops, so why don't you start us out with the things you don't like?
All right. Well, I will go ahead and say that I'm not terrible at this game. I know it has flaws, and it makes me frustrated. But a lot of the flaws are mainly the hit detection needs some work. It feels like if you're hitting someone, you're scoped in, you're shooting, your aimer's on the guy, and bullets are not actually hitting. No hit detection is coming off, no X marking that you're hitting them at all. It seems the stopping power in the game has really killed any long distance battles at all, unless you're sniping. And honestly, this has become a big hip-fire game, in my opinion. It's caused a lot more camping, even though the lesser stopping power gives a chance to the person rushing in to get a shot off to try and kill that camper. But the camping is ridiculous in the multiplayer, is what I've run into. What are your thoughts, Iceman?
I will agree with you on the hit detection. Sometimes I'll be shooting people in the face, and it's not even killing them at all. Previous Call of Duties, they would instantly die. That's probably just more of the fact with stopping power not being a perk anymore in this game, because I know myself personally I would use the M16 and stopping power in the other games. Personally though, I do like stopping power not being in this game, showing a little bit more gun skill, and the fact with the kill streaks, taking away some of the little ridiculous kill streaks that were in Modern Warfare 2 away from this game, makes it a little bit more enjoyable and not getting nuked on every other game. The only complaint I've had so far from the game is I don't like how everybody seems like they have commando and they get these ridiculous long lunges with their knife, and I can't ever judge when I should try to knife or when they're going to knife, and it's just a very 50-50 type of play that will happen.
Adam, I'm going to agree with you, because a lot of the things that I've seen from the community to Treyarch, and what Treyarch has acknowledged is clearly they know they've got to fix the hit detection. And clearly they know they've got to fix lunges, that they're overpowered, they're not good, they're like me cranked up with a chainsaw in Gears of War 1. It's just not good. And unlike the chainsaw, this actually is very difficult. There's no really defense for it. I'm also going to agree with Adam. I'm a fan of no stopping power. I think the faster a game, the better it is, and no stopping power does speed up the game. Camping, Ryan, I don't know. To me, bad kids are always going to camp. You know what I'm saying?
I guess you can't stop players from playing the way they play. All right, well, moving on to another flaw I found in the game is... Well, actually, no. I'm going to go into some fun aspects of the game for the multiplayer. The kill streaks that I enjoy to use, like I'm sure everyone else has, is the RC car. It's kind of fun. Dogs have made a comeback from World at War, and those are pretty much the top perks that I want to really discuss about being fun. What do you think, Adam?
Personally, for me, if I want to have fun, I want a lot of kills, so I get the chopper gunner, and I just go to town on people on Nuketown and other various maps in the game. But I'm not gonna lie, the dog's kill streak is extremely fun to see when they're on your team, not when you're trying to get attacked by dogs.
That is very true.
So what we're saying here at the end of the day is campaign good, fun factor good. As far as competitive, all the key elements are there, but it's going to need some tweaks. Is that what we're saying?
Pretty much. And another good thing for your Xbox fans for Black Ops is that on the LAN settings, everything is unlocked. So it is a possibility still to have it in a highly competitive setting.
I definitely agree with Ryan, and I also love the maps in this game more than Modern Warfare 2. The maps just seem just more like a competitive factor that'll just help with the games, and once they get solid game types to go along with them, the game will be a pretty good game and intense spectator watching factor.
You know, guys, to be honest, the game has only been out for a week, a little over a week, so I don't want to say too much more about Black Ops. I think there's a lot more testing that needs to go on. We'll see what patches come out for Treyarch, and we'll probably know more in December about where the game's headed and where it's going to go. So, and I'm sure Major League Gaming is going to say a lot more about that. Which, speaking of Major League Gaming, let's go and talk about another big conversation going on, which is the V2 settings that have been released for Halo Reach. Let's start with you, Adam. What do you think?
Personally, for me, I'm half and half with V2 settings. Some of the game types I feel are just a little ridiculous, and what were they thinking? I'm not the biggest fan of sprints, especially on game types like Zealot CTF. I thought Zealot CTF was like one of the best game types in V1. And with sprint being added to the game type right after you respawn, it somewhat takes away like certain flag caps that you would be able to do in V1, now you can't even do in V2. I like the breath of fresh air in some game types with like one flag and territories and bomb, but I think one flag, there's not any good maps to do one flag even on. Territories, this isn't Gears of War, Call of Duty, there's no point in doing a domination type of game type in Halo. Bomb I do love, but I just feel they just need to increase the bomb arming time, and otherwise that game type would actually be pretty good to be added to the circuit.
So to recap, you are a fan of having a type of game type where you disarm and set bomb, kind of the search and destroy type game type. But outside of that, nothing else should be sort of added into what is currently objective types for Halo, correct?
Correct.
How long do you think before there's going to be a version 3?
I would give it a month. Hopefully somebody comes out with some different Forge maps. In my opinion, I think Reflection and Countdown should just be taken off the circuit completely. Those are by far my two least favorite maps that are in the current 4.
We're also joined tonight by a special guest from Hot and Mild, Mario. Welcome, Mario. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
Excellent. It's very rare we have a applicant on the show, so consider yourself special. And we've already discussed before the show started that even though you were with Mob Gaming, we're not going to hold that against you.
All right. Good to hear that.
So what do you think about the version 2 settings?
I'm kind of with Icebane on this. I'm kind of half and half. I don't really like Sprint being in it, especially in Zealot Slayer. It seems like they added a spawn underneath the opposite base, so you can just spawn there and then flank like instantly with Sprint, and you can get behind them easily. I don't know how I feel about that. Also, Flag, you can get easy returns, and that just takes away the whole push that you just started, the whole flag run. It just ruins it. Territories, I actually kind of like it on Sanctuary, but not on, what is the other map, Zealot? I didn't like it on Zealot. I never play it. But Sanctuary wasn't too bad. Oddball, I actually like, and I disagree with you on Countdown being taken out, because I actually like Countdown a lot. But Reflection, I do agree that that map just needs to be completely taken out. I don't know what they were thinking. And then they added one flag. Like, that is just not thinking at all. One flag reflection and one flag countdown, and then switching the rocket spawn is it just changes it completely. I feel like I'm playing social matchmaking or something.
Well, let's go back to Countdown for a second. Adam, talk about your thoughts on why you feel the map should be removed.
In my opinion, I just feel CTF on that map is just a very inconsistent game type with the spawning. I dealt with something at MLG Dallas where we got the most inconsistent spawn I think anybody at the tournament got, and that basically ended our tournament. So it might be a little bit biased, but I just feel on CTF too much inconsistent spawning. Bomb is alright on the map. One flag is not very good because of the routes you can take with the flag, and you can get it up there in less than 15 seconds. And TS, it just seems like once almost somebody's able to get up top control, it's just going to be a little bit harder for the other team unless they make a good push on getting top back. It just seems like the spawn system on Countdown is just overly great.
Mario, what do you think about that? You said you kind of liked Countdown. How do you feel about some of his problems? Is there maybe a strategy that you use that you think overcomes some of those difficulties? Or in retrospect, would you say, yeah, I kind of agree with the spawns. They are kind of problematic, but not enough to break it for me?
Yeah, I don't think the spawns are that random. Sometimes you can get the basement spawn and then you can't really do anything, but for the most part you spawn top ramp. But I guess if you block that spawn, it is kind of impossible to stop the flag. But as far as Slayer goes, I think top control, it reminds me a lot of Construct from Halo 3, because you have to fight and push together, so it kind of reminds me of that, and I like it.
What was your feeling on Bomb, Mario?
I like Bomb, actually. Yeah, I don't like the 5 bomb on Sanctuary. That's a little ridiculous. Like putting 5 bomb on the biggest map. I'm not sure why they even thought to do that.
And you guys both agreed that Reflection should be taken off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you guys feel about Reflection being played as Old Ivory Tower? Like the exact settings?
I think that would make it worse. I just don't think that map's very competitive, because if it was the old settings, then all you would do was camp up top with sniper, and especially if there was overshield and rockets, then you just have to sit back and everyone just sits around and does nothing really.
The only reason why even Ivory Tower even worked in Halo 2 is just because the geometry and how the physics of Halo 2 worked somewhat complements Ivory Tower as a map.
Yeah, I agree. In Halo 2, you could take out an entire team by yourself also, and in Reach, you have to have great teamwork or you're not going to be able to do anything, especially with the Bloom.
So, we're talking about, all these bad maps and maps we're going to be taking off. But to take off a map, you're going to have to add one. And one map that people are talking about is Genome. What are you guys' thoughts on Genome so far?
I haven't gotten to play any of the game types that are supposed to be on the map. To me, it looks like a race map for mongooses. So I don't know if I really like how the map looks and all, but I've heard good things about how it plays out for CTF. That's a pretty good map for CTF. I heard it's not a very good map for TS. I guess I don't really have much opinion on it since I haven't really played it yet.
Yeah, I haven't really played it either, but I've seen video, and it looks like, I agree, it does look like a mongoose racetrack, but it does seem like it would be decent because of the 2 bases and the symmetry of it, but I don't know, other than that, I can't really say that I can judge it.
Yeah, and to be fair, the editor did say, I'm not an artist like most of the people who create these maps, but he was just going for competitive play. And, like the 2 bases are in the corners rather than just opposite sides, which adds to a different play in Halo, to be honest.
Well, at least we know now that it's something to keep an eye on. Like, hopefully we'll have more feedback over the next couple of weeks to see if the sort of the layout of Genome is something that could be added to competitive play.
Yes. Also, MLG went on to say that they're still accepting maps that people are creating. So if you are an editor out there, go ahead and submit your map to be judged by MLG and hopefully make it a competitive map for MLG.
Yeah, I agree with you. Not even hopefully. If you are a map editor and you're listening, by all means submit your map. I mean, there's this awesome tool. We should be using it. We definitely should use it to explore some of the things we can do inside Reach to make it a better game. So I definitely think that should be happening. So since we have this opportunity and we have Mario on the show, also known as Jumpmaan, Mario, tell us a little bit about Hot and Mild. I mean, you've been around gaming for a long time. I remember you sort of way back in the Gears of War days. You've played a lot of different games. Tell us a little about your current team and, most importantly, what made you decide to apply to VV Gaming and, whatever happened to Mob Gaming. Tell us a little bit about what brought you to apply here for a sponsorship.
Okay, well, Hot and Mild first started, I think, in 2006 for Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter on Game Battles, actually. And we ended up being a top 3 team for, like, the entire ladder. It was, I don't know, it was something to play because the only Halo that was out was Halo 2. And I don't know, I just wasn't into it anymore, I guess. And then we transitioned into Gears of War when it came out with, it was me, Killer Crank, Marth, and Bonsai. And Marth and Killer Crank actually went on to win the 2007 National Championship for Gears of War, actually. And I'm kind of mad that we didn't get to transition with them. But, I don't know, you live and you learn, I guess. They ended up dropping one of my really good friends, and I didn't want to team with them after that. But, yeah, we were on Mob for about 2 years, or I should say I was. I was contracted from 2007 to 2009. I played Guitar Hero, Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk was actually really random, and it was a funny story, actually. We were at WCG, the U.S. Open for 2007, and they just happened to have an open tournament for Tony Hawk Project 8, I think it was. And I ended up taking first in that, and I won like $2,000. And I ended up getting double the score of the second place guy. As far as Mob went, it wasn't the worst experience I've ever had, but it was actually a pretty fun experience. It was just interesting, to say the least, with Godfather. I'm not sure what really happened to them. I know he had a son a while back, about a year ago, and I haven't really been keeping tabs with him. The website said that they've been down for the fall or something, but they haven't been back up. Now we're just trying to make money in Halo Reach and hopefully get a sponsorship from VVV and take it from there. Try to keep top 4 consistency.
When you guys considered a sponsorship, what other organizations did you consider, and what was your strategy? Why VV Gaming at the end of the day? Walk the audience to some of the decisions teams make when they're considering who to sponsor and what they decide on.
Well, when we were looking for sponsors, the first thing I thought of was Jason, because he actually tried to get on Mob a while back for Guitar Hero, and I tried to get him on, and I don't know, Godfather said that we had too many people or whatnot, so it ended up not happening. And then I still was pretty good friends with Jason and knew that he was on VVV and that he was the VP, so I actually just contacted him, and he said that he can try. But I've known about VVV since '07. I'm pretty sure you guys won the very first Gears MLG tournament, actually. I think it was VVV Visions. It was Puff, Stones, Bawabis, and I can't remember who else. But yeah, I've known about you guys for a long time. Yeah, Takedown.
Yep. Yeah, we held that team together. That probably was the longest consistent roster of one of the pro teams that whole season. That lasted all the way until Orlando, before Frag Dominant tried to sort of pull them away, and that caused a lot of friction on the team. And then they never really did much after that, and they kind of broke apart. We later had Puff back playing for us in '09 for Gears of War 2, and things were never the same. I mean, I think Gears of War 2 was a difficult title.
Yeah, Gears of War 2, I never really got back into that. Once Gears of War ended, I kind of just drifted into Halo and learned that there was way more money and it was way more popular. And I didn't want to really be like this big fish in a small pond, you know. I just wanted to play the big game.
Tell us a little about your team and your teammates, how you guys have this current roster.
Kratos and I actually live about 30 minutes from each other. We started teaming, I think, a year and a couple months ago. We started going to the locals. And before we started teaming, Soviet and Cold Hearted actually won every single local for, I think, like 3 years, 2 or 3 years. And We actually ended up beating Cold Hearted and Godlike at the first local that we went to, and we've been undefeated for like a year and 3 months or something. So we've stuck together since then, and we played Goatsy at MLG Denver and MLG Orlando, and we actually beat him 3 times because we beat him in winners and losers in Denver, and we beat him in losers in Orlando. But we knew that he was the best player on his team, by far, actually. So we ended up just hooking up with him for game battles, and then Trigger God was a team of 2 with him. And I think it was like 5 days before MLG DC, and we just split up with our team because we knew we weren't going to get far at all. And we ended up hooking up with them and taking like 4 or 5 days of practice and getting 4th at DC. So we ended up sticking together, and we got 6th at Dallas.
Gotcha. So tell people a little bit about you also. What do you do as far as school, work, a little bit about you as a person?
I was in school for video game design, but I don't know. I wasn't too interested in that. I've been out of that for about a year now. I'm kind of thinking about what I should do. And I'm just trying to get this gaming thing going, really. I haven't been able to find a game that I actually really want to stick to until Halo. Because I've been hopping around from Gears to Gears 2, Ghost Recon, Rainbow Six, Guitar Hero, DJ Hero, and I've actually like placed well or decent in all of them, but Halo's where my main focus is right now, actually. And then I want to try to get my real estate license and do business with my mom and my cousin because they're in real estate, but mostly my main focus right now is Halo.
Mario, I want to thank you so much for appearing here on the Losers Bracket, and I want to wish you good luck on your application.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thanks for the luck.
This past weekend in Indiana, LAN War 19 went down, and the VUV Gaming StarCraft 2 division was there in full force. Over 200 people were there to compete, and VVV Murder actually ended up taking home first place, while one of our applicants, Treva, ended up taking third. Joining us today to talk about the event is VVV Roar. Jonathan, how are you doing today, sir?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me back, guys. Pretty pumped. Had a great weekend.
Very cool. So give us a little bit of a rundown. I know that we had some really great results there. Talk about some of the matches that went down. Was there anybody that put up a fight against Murder?
Surprisingly enough, Treva met Murder in the quarterfinals. Murder did take the series 2-0, but it was a lot closer than it looked on paper. Murder took the first game pretty handily. Second game, Treva came off with a really sweet drop. He got Blue Flame Hellions, which basically just increased their damage versus light units. And surprisingly enough, SCVs are pretty light units. So he dropped him in Murder's base. Murder lined them up perfectly, and he got 20 of the 27 SCVs killed. At that point in time, Treva just had this tremendous lead, but I think nerves and just basically playing Murder got to him because he completely fell back, turtled up, played defensively, and just let Murder macro back into the game, and then Murder out-microed him in the end. I don't know, some pretty funny matches. Really, Murder just came off of retirement, basically, I guess you can say, just because he hasn't been playing very constantly. I think he played like 5 matches before going to this tournament, and he was just saying, I'm really nervous, I don't think I'm going to do well. I really think going through the tournament, he didn't drop a game to anybody. I think he went like 15-0 or something throughout the whole entire tournament in games, and some of the funny games is the guy he met in the championship game piece was going a pretty standard build of 1-1-1, which is standardized by the little one. It's basically build a barracks, a factory, and a starport, and what he did was just rushed Cloak Banshees against a Protoss player, and in the first game he got 55 probe kills with his Banshees, and the armies didn't even engage before the guy just GG'd out of the game. And the second game pretty much happened in the same fashion, where Murder pushed in with his Banshees, and he actually got 26 kills on one unit before the guy ended up GGing and throwing in the towel.
Sounds like that was pretty darn entertaining, I gotta admit. One thing that players, when they're just getting into LANs, really have to get over is the nerve factor, and it sounds like Murder's slowly but surely getting that over. I believe this is only his second LAN event, correct?
Yes, besides for IEM, this was his second LAN event, and once again, I think really coming to this level, he was kind of researching all the players he was going to play, and really he was most afraid of playing Treva, so it's kind of funny in a sense, just because he's played so many games against him, and I found it kind of funny just because he's always gone positive against him. So it was kind of funny to hear him, like, they were sitting right next to each other and they were playing their games. They were kind of talking while they're playing. It was really fun to watch. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the event, actually, and something that I really, really loved is, I don't know if you guys noticed or not from the pictures I posted up there, but you can basically write up in front of the players, taking pictures of them. At certain points in times, I mean, Murder was getting comfortable enough to where you would say something and he would hear you and start laughing and talking about it. And when he was playing that certain Protoss and his Banshees were raking up kills, I think people started counting after it had hit 20 kills. People were like, 21. 22, and the whole entire time, of course, Murder has his giant ass smile on his face, and he's just loving all this attention. So I really, really love the fact that you can just sit behind the players, take pictures of them, and it was really cool because a lot of them were really into the crowds and everything, and it made me feel like a Halo-esque type deal, and I was just like, hey, MLG, this is what you guys need to do.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think if, as long as people like Idra don't, interfere with that, or those that tend to be a little bit more of the uptight StarCraft 2 players, I think it will help StarCraft 2 a lot if that kind of energy can permeate. Now, for a lot of people who may not know, talk about what the LAN of War event is, because it's been going on, what is this, like the 14th?
This is the 19th one.
19th event. Tell everybody about this event, kind of the history of LAN War.
Well, basically, I was actually talking to someone there because I wanted a little bit more history on it, too. It all started out with Unreal Tournament, and they just basically played LANs against each other, and it was started out really small. This was their biggest one to date, obviously. They had about 100 people there playing other games on top of StarCraft 2. Like, those people double-dipping, obviously. Some StarCraft 2 players are playing, like, the dreaded WoW, and we had League of Legends going on, and Team Fortress and games like that, and it was just huge. They actually had it in a dorm room. It was super cramped, super smelly, but everyone was just digging it up. People were basically right on top of each other. They just had giant lawn chairs and everything, and it was bring your own computer, and I don't know, it was a really fun event, even though it was kind of uncomfortable, but I had a blast, and basically there was just so much swag being given out. I think basically if you showed up to the tournament, you got a raffle ticket, and every hour they would raffle off 10 items. I know Trevor walked away with a $150 keyboard, something called a mana potion, which was like an energy drink, and Murder walked away with like 4 mouse pads and a keyboard himself.
Mana potion, that's awesome. All right, well, good. So I'm glad you guys had a fun event. Let's talk a little bit about what's up next for StarCraft 2. Just a quick rundown of some of the big online events or any kind of events coming up in the next couple months.
Well, to be perfectly honest, it's almost hard to keep up with them. I know this past weekend also, I want to give him his kudos, is Optic Zero, another applicant, took second in a pretty huge tournament on Team Liquid, battled Dex. He ended up beating Og from MLG, who placed really, really well. I think it was 12 at DC and then 8 at Dallas, so he did really well there. And then he went on to beat Liquid Tyler, who is a.k.a. Noni, the old Brood War pro, 2-0 in the tournament, and Noni placed 8 and 4 respectively in the two tournaments. So, I mean, Optic ended up placing second. He was up 2-0 against Boxa and then lost 3 matches in a row. So he was really disappointed about that. But huge kudos to him. He did really, really well, and he was just performing amazing in that tournament. I know there's just oddball tournaments going on constantly. I know Rigid wants to go to a New Orleans tournament December 12th. He's not sure if he's going to go yet, so he's bouncing back and forth. I know a bunch of players are excited about the next MLG events. They keep bugging me saying like, where's this? Where are they going to be? Where are they going to be? And I'm like, well, not trying to give too much away, but I know hopefully one's going to be in Chicago. At least that's what I hear. So I'm pumped about that one. I mean, yeah, I'm trying to get at least 4 to 5 players at every MLG event. So we'll see what happens.
Awesome, Maura. Well, I think you've been doing a great job. So I really appreciate everything that you have contributed to VV Gaming. Thank you.
No problem. I love being here. It's awesome work. I just enjoy the community a lot and, want to see my players do good.
And that they will. I have no doubt.
Jerry, I don't know if you've been able to read Naded's blog on MLGpro.com, but it's pretty much his whole 3 years of MLG career. What do you think of it so far, if you've read it?
I read the whole thing. Actually, I was more interested that there were 10 pages of comments at the time that I read it. And it wasn't until page 8 that somebody finally called him out. But for those of you that don't know, and something I want to highlight is Naded, Halo Pro player, wrote a blog called The Past 3 Years. And he wrote that on Monday, on November 15th. And in it, he started talks about the 2008 preseason and walks it up all the way to DC. He prefaces it by saying that he's been extremely disappointed and frustrated with what's been going on in his gaming career. And then he sort of did one of these things that young people do. I plan on never letting any immaturity, laziness, or just straight up not even caring about winning ever happen on my team again. The nice part about this blog is it's good for the losers, right? This is a loser's blog. And I want to give everybody sort of a sports education here. Naded's blog is the kind of blog that people who will never aspire to be good Halo players will like. Because it tells the story about how everybody else screwed him over. This is like one of those ultimate wine stories about, I'm so into gaming, I'm all of these things, and then let me tell you about how my other teammates let me down. So I'm going to break this blog down for everybody. I might get a little upset, but I really don't want to rant. I don't want to rant about Naded's blog, but I think you all should think about some things. The first thing he does is he says what I think are obvious things. I plan on never letting any immaturity, laziness, or straight up not even caring about winning ever happen on my team again. Well, first of all, who really does plan for that? So the whole sentence is stupid. You're stating the obvious, right? I plan to never have one of my teammates stab me in the eye again with a pencil. Oh, that's a really high goal. Good luck with that. Hope it works. I mean, of course. And then he goes in and he talks about each of the situations he was in and who got picked up and who got dropped. And, anybody who followed it, I'm telling you, a lot of people who've gone through all these team changes. But I'm going to fast forward to the end of the blog because it really is in DC where, he starts this sort of like, here is what's going on. You could tell he had high hopes. And then everything kind of didn't work out, right? He said his teammates sort of lost their intensity. That was his argument, right? And it's like he felt, obviously, that the Halo 3 season ended early. It was unbelievable. And then he talks about, obviously, Dallas, MLG Dallas and Halo Reach. And he said it was there that he realized how much I have been screwed over, and I really just thought about quitting. And I thought, well, then fucking quit. You wrote this entire blog, and did you really think about your audience? No, he didn't. And again, like I said, this is a great losers blog. Oh, I've been screwed over. I'm the victim. Woe is me. I was going to quit. Then fucking quit. Here's a gun. Go shoot yourself. It's over. Nobody even has to worry about it. And he goes, I was tired of relying on other people and having them never come through. Oh, stop. You're crying. Like, who the fuck are you? Like, that's kind of bullshit that I think, like, you're in a team game. There's no I in team. It's not like it's like Naded Spotlight and everybody is like a supporting actor to get you to number one. It doesn't work that way. But when you start to read the comments on the first 8 pages, you get all those people like, oh, I love you, you're so talented. But really it's just like saying you're a loser like me. And then he sort of like ends it on this kind of like, I wish I could be in a position where I can control everything, but there are a lot of factors in Halo that you can't control. Yeah, there are a lot of factors in life you can't control. So good statement. Yes, it's something you have to deal with. And hopefully you don't deal with it by writing this like wall of text of 3 years of boring shit. And then he talks about, especially if you're dealing with people that are not dedicated. Oh, I suppose all the people he's ever teamed with are not dedicated. But him, Naded, he's dedicated, but nobody else. He's like, Killer, Drew, and Karma put in hardly any effort at all into Dallas. And then Karma's communication was terrible. And he's like, step the fuck up. And I think to myself, you're the one who teamed with him. And he got all this shit that's obvious. If you really want to win, you do everything you can. Yep, that's true. Blogs like this, they're written for losers. Those are the people who should see it. So if you're one of those people out there who really liked Naded's blog the past 3 years, look in the mirror. You are probably a loser. You are probably one of those people who likes to relate to people who don't take responsibility for anything and then blame everything on their teammates. Right? And then he writes, I will try my best to not let any of you down next season. I plan on having a team that contends to win every tournament. Well, I think somebody should write a joke blog to this one. And I think you should just do everything like the exact opposite. And then you should end it with, you know what? And I'm not even going to bother to try to win next tournament. I'm just going to have fun. Because at the end of the day, right, anybody out there who sort of like goes through and blames their teammates for everything that goes wrong, learn personal accountability. I'm serious. You chose that team. You teamed with them. Don't blame everybody else. Don't talk about how you're a victim and got screwed over, especially if you're a Halo Pro player. Whining is not attractive. That's like coming in second at the Super Bowl and talking about how your teammates let you down. Grow the fuck up.
We've reached that point once again. It is the end of the show this week. Thank you for listening. Big thanks to VUV sponsors, SteelSeries, Control Freak, MusicSkins.com, GamerLogos.net, and Custom Ink. Also, huge shout out to the VUV community. Thank you for your feedback and support. Now, for future episodes of our show, we do have something new that we're going to be doing. There is a thread on the VUV Gaming forums where you can actually nominate a guest for future Losers Bracket episodes. Feel free to put your recommendations, and who knows, you might see one of them on the show in the future. Speaking of future shows, next week, since our shows normally do come out on Thursdays, next week, of course, is Thanksgiving. We will not be having an episode of the Losers Bracket next week. Please check back on the 2nd of December for round 44 of the Losers Bracket. Be sure to stop over at our podcast homepage, vvgaming.podbean.com. There you can find the catalog of all our prior episodes. In addition, you can subscribe to us, VVV Gaming, on iTunes or Zune Marketplace. Both of our shows, Directional Influence and the Losers Bracket, will be listed there. Email us at thelosersbracket@vv-gaming.com, or you can also follow us on Twitter. There, we're known as Losers Bracket.
All right, everybody, I want to wish you a very happy and safe and healthy Thanksgiving. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy your time off. Black Ops, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. There are some great games out there. And I also want to give a shout-out to the VV community. And we will see you all in December, where you can expect to have a very special guest from Major League Gaming on our December show.
Take care, and like Jerry said, have a happy holidays. Don't eat too much. You will regret it later.
Happy holidays, folks. We'll see you soon.